can put you on. St. Mark's the talk.
That's it. Yeah. Okay, thank you all. Good luck.
Cyrus for the 1 NC. Could you put SM debate docs on?
SM debate docs?
Yeah.
Same.
Same.
Okay, cool, yeah.
Keegan, good, cool. Is anybody not ready? Sweet.
There are about 12 to 15 million illegals in this country, and that number is growing by 500,000 every year. Recent investigations show that in Los Angeles, 95% of all warrants for homicide targeting illegal aliens they go to strain on our social security, our education, our healthcare, and yes, national security. Welcome to the homeless nation that excludes undocumented immigrants from social security, but makes them pay into it anyway. We're touching minors, the American self and immigrant other. I saw 23 becoming minors characterized inclusion of future undocumented 11 in the U.S. The federal government did not permission to live in the work unless ITA and the payment of social security benefits should bar for undocumented immigrants. Numerous federal government imposed hurdles in their engagement and emergence of the prudent strategy institutions all and the important resources of the public system the ways they maintain that place in the country and the federal government and the United States undocumented immigrants permission to this separation of the social security help them land a job to the ITA and credit the job to the decision and ISS and the ITA and use file tax the exclusion demarcates immigrants as docile to the society, framing them as undeserving of the home, refuse setting limits on bans for hospitality and endorse unconditional hospitality as a way to accept the other. Rabbi all 22 hospitality is a constituent social relationship with obligation of hospitality. The hospitable work because the other needs to be offered unconditionally and everybody hospitality said and bans to open in the foreign business or wholly other hospitalities never spends civil service spaces for security as part of a wider system exchange to the social cultural structure. They do the hospitality's foundational being the constitutional culture, ethic, language, community, humanity, hospitality represent engagement of the type of decision and possible must be done. They seek to how to reconfigure the host guest and foreign assisted and foreigner to challenge the Western economist logic and identify us from hospitality as stranger without recommits the ethos of migration governments this is ever liberal discourse and inclusion just the immigrants and anybody gets home to their base hospitality reviews to reject migrants that when illegal immigrants to the breaking in rules of hospitality just by increased border control the creating binders to deserving undeserving links between countries. Mean the immigrants number of trading hierarchy says that the socio-economic relationship between the receivers and the centers of migrants and inequality to the immigrants may be treated as guests without rights to use to work hard and polite and untrusted to the point of invisibility. Guests must be assembled to respectful to the rules of the house. You should use the front door and use invited the guests when they enter the hospitality events and setting some limits beyond which the other cannot trespass the restrict transgression turn a hospitable host into an inhospitable one. The home constitutes hospitality by mediating boundaries based on access to the broader political community, affirming unconditional hospitality, deconstructs the sovereignty to decide who receives hospitality in the first place. The risk of failed hospitality is central to being unconditional. Taylor 19, the political aspect denotes our relationship with the state of the exclusion. The responding the migrant host against there becomes a migrant national. They interested in managing the home, the political dimension, they conserve the home, then state conserve the demands, the hospitality of the others. This is like the condition to access when the political community comes sovereign in the home and exists to master the national identity, the identity self-same to the foreign state and the opposition. The other side, conditional hospitality demands the loss of the effect of product, conditional hospitality, discrimination, exclusion of political consequences, assertion, and state sovereignty. They feel to make us grant asylum, hospitality through deconstruction and sovereignty. The state attempts to control the home and they start the monopoly to the any mission of the country, cruelty to the state is hosted because the encounters always harbor the risk because the hospitality loses more part of the respect of the key to instrumentalization of the hospitality. My political community service are body to existential threats about hosts about guests and the imagined and non-Western legal freeloaders that exploiting hospitality perpetuated through discourse and documenting the percent of the danger of the social cohesion and mitigate the perceived risk of politics and impose mechanisms and determine the right balance between answers outside the political function of the hospitality materialize that because humanities need advantage to the members they be free at home and the instrumentalization of hospitality is geared to the reservation of the group's resources. Thus, the United States federal government should increase fiscal redistribution in the United States by expanding social security to residents, expanding social security to immigrants, and represents the unconditional welcome, that reconceptualization of welfare brings binders to the host and the other by placing this equal for male and longitude who open door, representing infinite responsibility towards the other relationship with the other, abstract and exists outside of the experience of being across hospitality entails difference between the foreign and the other, others to have privilege to other represent the requisites of foreigners' rights to have to fulfill obligation to come to these or to offer the conditional hospitality, current migration laws, and restrict hospitality in the moment. Unconditional hospitality, certain migration laws, space created certain rules and norms, and no longer offset unbounded hospitality gets unconditional hospitality to have in the door to the open and the anonymous other hospitalities along the other and the being the political form of resistance against a person migration laws must respond to the demand of the migrant before the even and reward laws must be based on an ethical principle of the unconditional welcome before the migrant knocks at the state source of true hospitality is welcome to the extent the distinction between the host and the guest disappears in unconditional hospitality. The host is also vulnerable. The host must open up the house and any stranger with awareness of vulnerable requires alienation from the whole nation state of the something the impossible the achievement of the political terms there are no choice between conditional and unconditional hospitalities. The two exist in a paradoxical relation might be impossible. The migration laws must use a worry about tuning in the conditional hospitality. According to finding new political and climate transforms that. Welcome to the visitation. Invitation must be expressed and experience the progressive social warfare. The ethical obligations to others are responsible to the vulnerability going on. The survival living is not surviving. Subverting relationship with the host against the social warfare for many of the reasons that relationship between ethics and political renders the political account demands the ethics of hospitality. Redistribution of welfare is intertwined with our relationship to the other. The app opens up the radical thinking of vulnerability, how we conceptualize the home for male and the law of 22 welfare participants. I'm sick of central related conditional hospitality as resilience and social provision remain instrumentalized in only service hospitality. Responding to the vulnerability because of social warfare that requires that sound supportive meal enabling survival practicing hospitality versus sound seeking supportive elevated life performing social welfare becomes such an impact the feeling of home to the saying the vulnerability comes to the ethical analysis on those data and period due to the equal asylum seekers the redistribution of social welfare everything is social welfare and the asylum seekers transform the relationship between guests and hosts of this lodging American plus the household premise investigation and hospitality require multi-tiered approach to theoretical practical listening and accepting human needs expression and accepting the other become the full human being hospitality must be offered to those who need it. It requires a hospitality as a life cycle that forms the biggest experience of nourishment and shelter and conditional hospitality requires breaking the root-based place-based ideology that come into migration policy this is border politics and the privileging migrants that might be tempting to repose unrealistic ideas precisely what we need. Opens up a space that charges that enters hostile premise that microsoft that policy worldwide addresses much needed theory of change and pairs through the redistribution reaches all CP23 existing welfare-friendly people in the English only form waiting on hold long application required the ID to distribute product and enrollment of the HIE pilots of the US tackle barriers that overseeing benefits to tackle language theory community mistrust program and subject to undocumented participants in the line of prepared to be shifted to the local community office appointing that disclose their home address the role of the judge to maximize hospitality recognition the other rest in the moment at the encounter your decision should be unconditional hospitable must be unconditional start with murmurs okay lambda other rival as the host of recognition themselves the possibility of ethics takes place this should be a hospital relation hospitality which comes out this is process of logical reciprocal exchange within the transitional hospitality and defense itself this should be conditioned by a vertical logical reciprocation with smart face to face of the other homogeneity wars of contestation the foundational hospitality requires the whose decision functions to code within a hospitality machine true hospitality cannot participate in the machine free hospitality from the kitchen that the other decision to be unconditional conditional logical exchange to determine the host response to the foreign difficulty in those emergement and decided whether both the others to share with against the host results place mastering of being a discourse practice of many excluded in the decision to be complete owns and includes the other decision on conditional hospitality consists of both the self and the other that util cannot calculate magnitude for social aid on the other without erasing the subjectivity on jotting 19 util falls short in the more calculative analysis purpose of defense or righteous aggregation is effective as well as the purport util aid intervention util let's consider objectively the clear one comes better than another redefining the criteria comes to pose that open those that are assisted or represented against beta and no state will produce utility for the determination of what response the level of giving is given and requires independent and particular representation of the target impulse of reduction aggregation subjectivity for close to the other needs the utility always leave that and the concordance to the resistance the reduction utility maintains the fiction and value can be determined opposition towards the other is the only way for productive ethics so Column 14 that we do not look isolated from the other subjectivity can only better understand the relation to the other might say ourselves as well because better job than different from the other repeats something they attempt to separate ourselves and have others possible to ethics found in hospitality conditionally and possible that someone's now be in a position to give hospitality which we should immerse attention that based on productive ethics you know something the other optimum starting points is itself something there assesses value when the encounter with the other person positive transformation is self starting point is absolute hospitality to the best interest of the self and go to the positive change of the human's engagement with the other logics of the worst violence ensures genocide and nuclear war constantly justifying them as the lesser two evils crafting artificial risk to sideline ethical action all opportunity within the util risk factors that benefit and hostility they representing the blaming the equation it says the benefits of helping the refugees being supposed to support their exchange with others or refugees being collateral damage using user transform more machine humanitarian machine rules are based on proportionality risk benefit analysis then collateral damage getting separating output for more similarly calculation our potential death that the possibility of predicting the future is about that calculation creates the illusion mastering and preventing the worst violence the left side feels like collateral deaths and more terrorists that they calculate the risk position for causing and causality so they were a method of precision to some of the logic forces supposedly avoid the worst of that seeing the calculation and the equation calculating output for more warfare or every other to reduce the exchange ability and that there's positive and adding machine risk the worst violence from their avoided the worst of officer nuclear war models to reduce the life of the units that operating war destroying genocide electron wars because lesser people life and death or reducing calculation the worst associated in nuclear war unit destruction the entire planet measure world and outside the exchange and the possible condition for whatever worse that they calculate always intentionally they calculate there's no common measure persuaded the person warning is less grave than nuclear war.
Good.
Yeah, less grave than nuclear war.
Who does the plan and what is the funding mechanism?
The
The United States federal government and fiscal redistribution is our funding mechanism.
Okay, cool. How does the plan account for the first piece of evidence? How does the plan account for people who don't have citizenship? Like, what is the process through which the government expands Social Security for people that are not, like, for undocumented migrants?
So the plan grants social security numbers and social security benefits to undocumented migrants.
So what are those benefits?
Like OASDI.
OSDI, like all of it?
Yeah, like the social security program.
Okay, cool. The Assad evidence says that there are binaries that immigrants are entrenched into. The plan expands Social Security, but Assad also says that migrants are required to pay for Medicare and health and social insurance programs as well, What does the plan do for those?
So
You've
the
said
SOD
OASDI alone.
So the SOD evidence is specifically about how exclusions from Social Security cause binaries of exclusion and inclusion, i.e. the self and the other.
No, it doesn't.
So
It
the
says that the federal government currently requires them to pay into Medicare and
yeah,
Social
and
Security.
so that's how
and
you get
social-
that's
and
how you get that binary of exclusion and inclusion. Undocumented immigrants pay into Social Security,
I get the
but they
argument
can't
about
access any
binary.
of the benefits.
No, I get
which
the
is
argument.
what would deconstruct.
I get the argument about the binary. I'm confused as to like how the plan can solve the other programs that are not part of OASDI.
I think you're thinking of this too consequentially and too linearly. Unconditional hospitality is not a like you solve these programs, therefore you have done unconditional hospitality. Unconditional hospitality is an ethos to guide the ways in which we propose things like policies, i.e. you think the app is good because it is unconditionally hospitable. We think that
Sure.
providing things like
The
Social
fourth
Security
to
is
last-
that kind of
The
justification.
fourth to last piece of evidence, I can't pronounce the last name. It says, I guess, why is the judge voting AF an ethical starting point? Like, why does the ballot mean that we make more ethical
So the
decisions?
basis of ethics is derived from the relation and binary between the self and the other. The reason why things are unethical is because they fit into this binary of the self and the other. So for
It
example,
takes
like
place,
racism.
the possibility of
there-
ethics takes place with a decision to a hospital
yeah, I'm
relation.
getting it. So the idea is that, the reason why things like racism are bad is because the other is ostracized and the racialized and the self is placed above the other.
So does
The
okay.
So
no,
no, yeah,
I have
I'm getting to your
another
question.
no.
Yeah.
I have a question. In the world of the AF, does the other go away?
That's not
Okay, no. But either
Like-
way, we take issue with your idea of like making the other go away, which is one, problematic, but second, we'll make arguments about how you cannot know the other. The other is unknowable as per Derrida, which means that
What is the other?
that's what I just said. We've impact turned the framing of that question.
You cannot.
The other
know-
is not knowable.
Okay.
That's why we have to be
Because
unconditional
to attempt to know the other is to attempt to demarcate between who deserves hospitality and who does not, which is a condition on hospitality. It's bad.
The 1 and C was sent during process. The order is 5 off and then the advantage. You don't mind if I walk? Sure.
Sorry, you said 5.
Yes. Okay.
One second.
Okay, MBA got it.
Yeah.
I'm downloading it. That's cool.
Just let me.
Yeah. Load. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. MBA both good. Mortgage is good. Cool. First off, the politics is that a successful grand bargain will be reached on Ukraine, but Biden's leverage is key to getting a deal out in time. Washington to post 1219 link from Murphy and Sinema working in good faith with Biden on Ukraine. A grand bargain is signal the center. They can hold that Biden makes significant concession. Trump was Biden no victory. Biden bringing the parties together. Congress already considered the crowd calendar. Any deal will need. In the 30 and 30, there's a path of Biden maintaining secure conversation until ultimate momentum after recess. Biden and the GOP leaders prove pragmatism lies. The plan develops Biden's PC and political flyers from Warshawski 22 Social Security reforms all November and the vote gets across the political pressure. Ignore the programs fiscal challenges for the design is not the right politically student. Ignoring problems that can only be just like spending public capital. It has to feel being as far as possible as easy to reform is likely to binary. Otherwise, Russia aggresses further extinction tickets in 1026. If Western aid came to an end, massive wave of refugees flooding into the EU, voted by Putin tax would be Moldavia, Armenia, Central Asia, little vulnerable Soviet republics, native discarded Putin, Tesla, resolve threatening the Baltic states, failed to defend against, expecting a rattling entire lands, spreading Europe and the chaos, right competition in Russia and NATO authorities, being encouraged instability, starting even further decades of security, cause the global economy, cause the global economy, tens of trillions of world wealth, like the broke, Western weakness. Next off is the CONCON counterplan, the United States through a limited constitutional convention, called for by at least 34 the states, ratified by at least 30 of the states, should expand social security of residents, it solves cause fallen, one avoids politics, Cooper 21 Constitution, Press, Path, the states, convention, ratified through Board of Political Congress, to belong without us watching Congress, from the Congress back to the parting back to words today, open history, runaway, article 5 year, for limited purposes. Next off is the Solicitor General counterplan, the United States Federal Judiciary, should issue a call for the views of the Solicitor General regarding hospitality. The Office of the Solicitor General should find in favor of granting Social Security to residents, solves having the Supreme Court invite the legal view of the Solicitor General, and then having the Office support legal modification. They'll follow advice with the process bills, SG, independence, and report. 10, when the court invites that's the command, the SG advisor responding to the views of special advocate is supported because of the enormous trust of core values, opinion, is best judgment, and the treatise, the 10th judges, independence, they ensure not autonomy from politics, just believes that influence the super referral decision. Well, CVSG, the CVSG offer merits and high relative correlation to SG recommendations of the court. 100, broadening the OSG's advocacy within the pre-established chain of command, stops erosion of the traditional rule of law treatment. 21, the SG balance interest and commitments to the rule of law. OSG is serving long-term interest and credibility plans on perception and changes as the big deal of law should be highest priority, especially intricate for them. Sustaining confidence, SG is a special obligation to the rule of law. The change of better interest should be out of them. SG is best served by hearing the telling the court of the right to say explain the rule of law. This is so far good, but it's expected position. OSG should furnish a revised position, rule of law, under soft power and multi-let, otherwise extinction. 21, the U.S. law shoe the world his history shows how for constitution from breakdown of rule of law requires an anti-judicial warming, hunger, overfishing, and legal extinction of refuge and security of the Russia. The receiver rules of corruption and disease and inescapable as an appreciation. Provided the checks and balances. Next stop is the basic income. Counterplan, the United States Federal Commission unconditionally provide a basic income to residents and advance Social Security. Social Security causes debt to balloon by 6 trillion more Shosky 22 Social Security. They drain finances, drains protection of the government redeem its bonds to gain and pay Social Security debt will increase 6 trillion increase 50% of the years. GDP escalating levels of debt cause extinction. Taylor 20. Any debt must be repaid. Non-sustainable transit crisis groups up and draw off resources and the voting response to that. Before crisis and collapse our globalized system and make crisis spread, debt and cause market disruption, policy distribution on the expectations, amplify instability when information of terrorist WMD, corporate business fragility next, the acquired QR's public liquidity. Next off is the deficit spending, counterplan the United States Federal Commission, expand Social Security of residents financed by deficit spending, compete burnily. 12 to achieve redistribution, the government collects taxes and makes expenditures and cash into the public goods, collecting taxes, making expenditures, straight chains of private distribution, income and post tax or secondary distribution because of impact of taxation and spending. That's best for debate. Only taxes calibrates net ground and just links to enable predictable contestation. The counterone solves the case. There's no tax is key in the 1EC and avoids the turn. IRS resources are sufficient now to implement the IRA IDM 20 through the IRA. The IRS enables civil services of Social Security, private investment levels transition net zero the economy. The IRS good services for all Americans. But the IRS faces challenges in the recent years. The IRA helped for the long term. The resources have these challenges. The IRA funds modern IRS are higher staff the tech delivery and seamless tax experiences. These changes are already underway. But noticeable improvements will work as well from both the resources of the IRA will sort of monetization as a meaningful change for goal. The plan trades off to both 17 if changes back to the breakdown. Tax code able resources staff. Interpreted forth laws and council tax rates, legislative requires exit of rule making process of regulations. Each rule constrain IRS and resources in any funding environment solves warming through CCS and renewable energy. So remain 22 tax competition and the fuel by the IRA provider. Good driver relationship fighting against competition continue to base rapid advances. Shall reduce the renewables being active competition of financial reach. IRA could go globally change by no substantial renewable energy R&D. It would mitigate climate change innovation of losing supply. IRA could help and lower income countries by encouraging the adoption of tax reductions like batteries and CCS. The batteries could spark tech innovation driving the price of renewables. Given extra higher price by climate change global or the subsidized price. Confusion out about revolution of the 1960s is useful model competitive tech products to save planet extinction and 19 climate causing extinction student knowledge cascading feedbacks multiple threshold tipping points IG collapse going to cause sea level rise when increases warming and carbon release method reduces one rate adaptive making extinction likely and moderate models unlikely even if there's 1% probability extinction more importantly by a trillion times independently rejecting for vagueness or negative presumption. Fiscal redistribution is not a funding mechanism case. Obligations fails to resolve current now urgent concrete risk can't with other with competing obligations all J5 already come incommensurability and outside of economy doesn't practice on the cryptic language exposes the practical limitation abstract problem test the political value and actions of ethical alternative source of the urgent concrete risk involved so other transactions and infinite obligations the other cannot be achieved. Hospitality turn their call for unrestricted openness to the other prisms or hierarchies that denies the material reality and humanizing violence of colonization. True and 13 Derrida calls for us to deconstruct the binary and then the binary of stay and those mind yes, the other one we do that skepticism, the other does not happen correctly or ever if you're reflecting equal innovations. These struggles do not double yes if peace requires a non-prior hostility, then what does the honest people do? One hostility, and the reason necessary to make wholeness and stay out of the moves that human sacrifice wholeness. Over the material realities of colonial adventure, politics, reference, the Mediterranean and ethics against collectivity seems to ignore the reality of equal power relation that now make positive room for violence politics. Colonial movements, undisclosed new plans and advantages proves they're invested in competition, not hospitality, independently destroys people and private escapades, small schools disparities, reject the team and air nagon, competition and dislinks the role of the judge is to determine the best policy option via consequentialism. It's key to effective decision making. Herschel, Grid 16, consequentialism ideal policies cannot be judged in intention versus negative outcomes, nor in initial effects of long running causal change to just not prove that making decisions accurate and for mercury analyzing policy preventing violence focusing on moral imperatives mentioned by planning any closest tautological green 10 deontology is about taking humanity seriously if you not to existing deontological theological mind. This is why it is wrong you get a deontological answer tautological auto and answers don't explain anything. External risks are ignored and ignoring calculated predictions make us less empathetic. Quiz 19 psychology causes us to ignore risk availability. It is influenced by what field visible external risks have no availability. We so unreal evidence that statistics tell us otherwise. Effect we get a decision made based on how we feel rather than through reason. Human beings are terrible at evaluating external risks and rather than developing memories over numbers, we feel more empathy for one than a group. Even though we should care about multiple people more, that this effective factors of corollaries is not inability to feel large groups. Our empathy erodes as death tolls grow per an ounce. Is future lives. Derrida agrees consequentialism is good and unconditional. Hospitality cannot be understood outside of consequences calculars. In 21, Derrida's involvement with hospitality aimed at examining tentative self-endorsement of interest hospitality as one of the takers that someone out to do regardless of cost. Unconditional hospitality cannot be integrated and institution without being contaminated by any consideration for economic condition is necessary to have conditions necessary to accepted. I can be done with the best intentions of the world. We also access their framing through solvency and counterplan solvency and turns case arguments. Now, unconditional hospitality is bad, causes assimilation, exclusion, erasure of otherness, which turns the affluent. In Stone 9, when asked what the policy means for these related to the other players, those who are these are people who are wrong, subject to welcoming the other, does not negate necessity of violence to pursuance of hospitality, who against which all people desire political hospitality. That is the most appropriate political strategy. That those others that does not desire hospitality from the person who wants to resist political inclusion is no longer appropriate. Who wants to promote hospitality would be ran outside of the community to become similar to the former and the insistence that other remains outside of the community. The latter observing others absorbed the community and the others is limited in both other is sort of less others given who hospitality does not desire or which undermines hospitality. That means reveals its own violence. Conditional hospitality offers the possibility of judging whether other wants hospitality. If we win, extinction is bad. Obviously, the best form of unconditional hospitality would be preventing extinction.
Read this. Just the card.
It's empirically proven Zuki non-unconditional hospitality and involve ethical limitations that won't be right for hospitality sector. There is belief in overcoming violence, crucial is ideological from neighbor ethnic policy, neighbor on the dehumanization of crucial of humankind is always complicating. And there is ethical hospitality, there is mass atrocity, which lurks the neighbor Bosnian political violence as far as counter atrocity, whatever. Boston.
Was that the Zukin 9 evidence?
Yeah.
Okay.
Both of it. That card should be sent now. And it's marked. Where it was cut.
Status.
Status quo is always a new option against undisclosed new plans and advantages.
No.
Wait, we disclosed the advantage. We just
Well,
changed the
you read a
plain
bunch of
text.
new cards. You read an entirely different topic area. Like
We read 2 new cards.
we also read like 3 condo.
Net benefits.
Net benefits to basic income or the and Social Security account plan is the internal. Solicitor General is the internal. Con is politics. Deficit spending is the internal.
Okay, sounds good. The con-kind counterplan, is it uniform?
Is it uniform? What do you mean? At least 34 of the states and at least 34 of the states call for it. At least 30 of the states.
It's a limited constitutional convention, so they
Oh.
only talk about, or they only discuss the plan. It's not about other.
Wait, so like how does this process work? Like
Yeah.
if 38 of the states ratify it, do the other like states that
Well, it
didn't
becomes
ratify-
binding federal law. Like the plan literally gets codified
Okay,
into the
so-
Constitution. So
okay,
it
sure.
literally is-
The obligations card, the obligations fail. Can you explain what you think this means?
all watching evidence.
It's on case.
It says that a quote infinite and unconditional obligation to the other cannot be achieved, especially by one policy that just expands Social Security.
So we can't achieve hospitality. That's the argument.
No, like especially not through one like policy change. It's just
Especially so.
expands
Yes, that is the argument. The next term. Can you explain what you think this one says?
Yeah, the true evidence.
Yeah.
It says that Derrida's binary of the other is not resolved by the case. It says that
Why?
we can
And why do we need to resolve the binary? Why is that the threshold?
well, I mean
for
that's
solvency?
literally the threshold for all the impacts that.
No, it's not.
At the bottom, it also talks about
that's
a
not.
politics derived from Derrida's ethics, ignores the reality of unequal power relations, and does not make room for.
How our whole app is explicitly about unequal power relations.
No, but this piece of evidence seems that one, you cannot deconstruct the binary, which is what all of your
Why?
evidence was about.
Why?
Yes, because that was what Cyrus explained before, is that
The
there's
binary isn't
there's
changed.
one, the binary still exists, there's other benefits that undocumented immigrants are excluded from.
That's not what hospitality is. The OSG counterplan. What's the bright line for OSG independence?
What's the bright line for the OSG having a say in Supreme Court decisions, especially one that's as radical as providing Social Security to everyone?
Wait, so
Yeah, the way the counterplan works is the OSG, so they call for a view of the Solicitor General regarding like economic policy. The OSG recommends the plan, well when the courts follow on, which demonstrates the OSG is a reliable sort of proponent of the rule of law that can sort of elevate the court or redirect the court away from the partisanship that we've seen empirically.
Sure. The renewable stuff, which renewables are produced?
Which renewables are
Yeah,
produced?
I see CCS. What else?
Solar, wind.
Solar and wind? Okay, cool.
10 minutes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, reasons to reject the team were just new apps and like vagueness, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and
The hospitality
guess-
stuff, the analytic on case.
that's the disclosure stuff. And
Like that's the new app,
Oh, yeah.
new plan thing, right?
also, if you're not taxes, it's like a top quality violation.
Okay, that wasn't in the one at Seaside. Sure.
Well, I mean, it was under the counterpoint.
Stop her, sending it out.
6:35.
Is everyone good for one order? Okay. So, case, taxes pick. Case, the deficit spending kind of fund, the basic income kind of fund, the Secretary General or Solicitor General kind of fund, politics.
Affirm unconditional hospitality by expanding Social Security to undocumented immigrants. That deconstructs the notion of the home by providing the other welfare. The rule of the judge is to maximize hospitality. It configures all relationality between the self and the other. You should orient your decision calculus through the lens of unconditional hospitality as a meta-ethic. 1 and 2.1. The obligation to serve the app. Link turns this evidence and practically uses a basic income to implement unconditional hospitality. This card is about not using modern postmodern concepts in political settings, which is the exact opposite of the app. Of hospitality turn 1. If we win that the self and the other configure ethics, and unconditional hospitality is the only way to respond to this aporia. 2. Colonization uses otherization to perpetuate it, so only unconditional hospitality can solve even if it's violence. 3. This logic is asinine. All progressive politics are impossible, but that's not a reason to do them. We cannot cure all racism or poverty in the world, but that's not a reason to not be anti-racist or work to resolve inequality. And 4. Unconditional hospitality is impossible, but it's nonetheless necessary because it creates the starting point to interrupt politics of the self to attempt the possibility of having productive ethics in the first place. New apps, new apps are good, or new plain texts are good. Incentivizes prep, critical thinking, and all innovation. Generators solve their offense, but don't justify antics. Default to reasonability, and that promotes hospitable discussions that maximize effectiveness. We sent you all the cards in the 1AC and sent out the 1AC early so you could prep it. If the top 10 team in the country can't beat a new plan, then they should not be a top team in the country. The consequentialist argument they're framing resists the other because it imposes an objective declaration of what the other needs. That denies the other ethical subjectivity because it attempts to know what is valuable to the other in the context of social aid. That's our Andrade evidence. If they do, when they're framing, they'll elevate the other's subjectivity to that of nuclear war because their line drawing operates to a genocidal logic. That's all over. The Herschel Burns evidence is highlighted to shreds, so strike it off your flow. 2. The only way to ethically evaluate policies is through unconditional hospitality. So the athlete turns this evidence. The green evidence is offense. We have to use unconditional hospitality as a way to understand consequences towards the other. It's not a tautology because human relationality always ties back to the other. They link to death pat is also a deontological value. The kissed evidence, existential risks are overrated in the debate space. Teams crazy scenarios like aliens, nanotech, and nuclear war, which prove that biases flip the other way. Either way, since the other can never be known, it's always undervalued in the context of other risks. The calculation of the worst violence functions within the logic of lesser abuse that operates to a genocidal logic because there will always be a worse violence to sideline the other. That's all of it. It's a root cause of nuclear war because there will always be a worse war that can happen. Embrace 2, 3. Embrace the risk because it's foundational, the political product of unconditional hospitality. Being unconditional in the chance of the home being disrupted makes our hospitality unconditional in the first place. That's Taylor. The Holocaust is in the context of evaluating the tensions inherent to the aporia of unconditional hospitality, not far off low risk scenarios. In the Long and Stone evidence is wrong. Strong spell. Bling and Stone criticize the situation in which the other is not integrated. Hospitality, the society markets work on that the gender text is written for this is aporia is inevitable. Zukik is wrong. Hinter 11 Zukik in a account there's perpetrated stranger boundaries, but right now we guarantee against also all their hostility in here. Zero identical neighbors acquiring mutual laws for migrants. Neighbors are unknowable taxes pay or deficit spending, whatever. 1. Permutation to both. 2. Perm to the counterplan. Fiscal redistribution can be either can read A. Redistribution can be achieved through tax transfers or both. In practice, variable distribution of value taxation be A. Predictability hour to reflect the real world B. After ground there interpreting the taxes and transfers placement and makes states unbeatable. C. Functional limits solve state politics necessary trade-off econ and other resolutional world. And the counterplan links as well. It expands Social Security, which means that it would expand a payroll tax to immigrants, which means that this does not solve the net benefit for the counterplans for that carded advocates are voter rec predictability, killing fairness and divorce debates from the real world, decimating education. 5. Can't solve expansion solves long-term stability of Social Security. Quickly 13. Undocumented immigrants will solve Social Security boomers to challenge which can leave it by the young population mean ages of all 36 and eligible. The majority will not receive benefits of boomer has passed the SSA and tax revenue interest will face range. Problems will cease as die millions are contributing less than other release code roughly 3 of 8 million and pay taxes and information is not as SSA database undocumented immigrants have contributed over the years 1 trillion or their tax contribution on immigrants already improved solvency but are far below the control of their 7 and pay. That's key to long-term effective unconditional hospitality. Taylor 5.
links to that benefit, there would be even more backlash if immigrants receive benefits without paying into the fund. 6, it's a cruelty asserting that we shouldn't extend hospitality, we should force another actor to do it. Forced to avoid an arbitrary net benefit is bad. The answer, there was always another actor to do the act. Justifies delaying ethical action. 7, there's a gamer DA. The DA means the counterplan. So all of the ethics of the counterplan are premised on avoiding a DA that places a condition on unconditional hospitality, which must be unconditional in the first place. That's Maria Musoka. And 1, the internal 1 tons of talkers or 9A. The extra from the IRA include high income towers, superior kids, tons of every officers will be assigned for certain firm accounts. Plans to officers agrees your corporate entities won't get a pass either can. Mean all combines Irish plans of agency. Combines campaign the Irish respects there are more cases. Irish says will focus on scams. And this gives the Irish a tense way to Irish budget is again under the debate. Congress or use over next year's budget. You can have Congress forwards. So tell the Irish budget could be cut result is strain modernization. 3, no length of plan doesn't require taxes for. No one means that SSA would do the plan because the plan would only increase the scope of the plan of the taxes. 5, it thought to undocumented immigrants already paying to IRSS. On the shot 6, no trade off if the IRA implementation is so important they'll take resources from elsewhere. 8, Fiat solves a plan provides new funding for the SSA program. F gets to define the scope and made it of the plan. 9, the IRA doesn't solve climate because it's not enough money, and the vagueness argument we made the plan specifies increasing fiscal redistribution. That's a distinct mechanism, and the interpretation plans must be topical and cross-tagged and highlighted advocates specify. And then their interpret is arbitrary and chips gold toes. No offense generic still apply, and our interpret solves basically no. 1 perm to bill, 2 perm to the counterplan. Counterplans must be resolution competitive. 3, links to that benefit. A, 4, can't solve. A, hospitality, the only asks the deconstruction of welfare. Deconstruct binaries that constitute exclusion within the home. That's our Delamba and Drabby evidence. And welfare is key to creating the feeling of a home to show the other unconditional hospitality. That's Delamba. And the internal net benefit, I'll send these out after. 1, you can cross-apply the Kugler evidence from above. It's a link term to the death stuff. And 2, there's no internal Social Security can't cause a death crisis. Base 23, Social Security is empowered to pay only benefits supported by federal register and trust funds. So as long as trust funds are sold, the program will pay benefits. Social Security, no legal authority called upon. Register revenues to pay benefits once they're enshrined. Benefits will become social and ever to the debt. As a letter of law, Social Security solves secures less economic weight. The government's ability to provide illustration will not have disappeared. And there's no debt impact. Impact is non-unique, often made up by libertarian budget trolls. And proven by previous previous debt crises. Process counterplan. 1, can't solve. A, the counterplan operates through the lens of conditional hospitality, arbitrarily gives the Solicitor General the authority to decide the hospitality and passage of the plan. 2, no internal. A, no spillover. A single instance of the Solicitor General doesn't solve broad rule of law. B, no impact force in other places would check and prevent U.S. authority. 3, permanent the counterplan. We get a specified sequence. 4, 5, permanent the plan and counterplan on other issues. Solves the internal benefit. Counterplans must be textually and functionally competitive. Maximizes Germany comparison, Afghan and objectivity. 6, permanent build. 7, imperial law term. 3, imperial law is by spectacular exaggeration building against hegemonic domination and imperial law subordinate local region will provide predatory mobilization of beneficiary despite lack of evolution, democratic, illegitimately imperial law imposes necessary means of improving effective philosophy, redistribution of wealth based on social solidarity, relations between legal and economic hegemony, story, volunteer reception by marrying periphery models as usually considered to describe a researching idea of consent within notion of prestige, mark and prestige, Concon. 1, content is open for Afghan. There's no solvency deficit to constitutionally require the F. 2, can't solve. A, the counterplan operates through the lens of conditional hospitality that was above. And B, Concon ignites fights because there's no one is guiding the convention. C, no spillover. Single instance doesn't solve the net benefit. 3, permanent the counterplan is a way that the plan can be done. 4, permanent the plan upon ratification delays solves the net benefit. 5, links to net benefit. It's unprecedented and functionally has the federal government do the plan. 6, perm do both. Politics. Numbers of plenty 4 and 8, immigration fights, impeachment, FFA, and Foreign Bill, and any deal also fails without support from the Senate. That's only 11:29. Priscilla, particular statements, 9 of the Senate, 10 firms, 6 felony alarms of already security, no future will keep passing in 48 packets, and Senators said changes to sound plus, we investigate immigration for that with data free, such as creating lawful pathways for Americans, we can not secure without increasing lawful pathways for migration, legalize undocumented immigrants, and policymaker could do the AF and the DA, asset limit DA's debates over the Social Security thought, NBC is fake, Kilroy 22, Peter agenda, popular, party took office, no margin, any progress, FDR, now losing control of the margins, creative room to ambition, benefit of records is forming an initiative based on instructions GOP, liberal capital FDR and LBJ and Jordan that comparisons might be in order. Winners win. K21. Imagine PC is the muscle. The more you exercise, the more you have. If it's not fine, if we do positive, we've got more clout to do even more. And the DA is fundamentally unethical. It gives Republicans the authority to decide the scope and how we should treat the other.
Wait, we can start cross. What was the last analytic that you just made?
Yeah, it's a K of the politics DA. The DA gives Republicans and the idea that, like, the entire authority over our ethical action, Republicans who are fascists, racist, should not be able to determine how we determine our ethics.
Where are you going to piece of evidence that says Republicans are fascist and racist?
I mean, that's like a fact. Do you want to defend that? We can, like, pull up Marjorie Taylor Greene quotes if you want. Like,
Go for it.
Okay.
Ted Cruz.
Reasons to reject the team.
Condo is a voter disposals. One straight turns maximizes in a classroom.
Just okay.
education.
Condo.
In fairness,
What
you
else?
can't beat the best ideas ever.
What
No,
else?
just tell us the voting
Con
issues.
theory
Con.
and
Or any of the like
That's it.
K reps case. Okay, whatever. Solicitor General counterplan. Perm do the counterplan over the planning counterplan over other issues. What other issues are those?
yeah, so it would be over residents.
It would be over residents.
Yeah,
Why would that not link to the?
it would be
why-
residents and security.
It would be residents and security. What forms of security?
So like U.S. national security.
U.S. national security. Oh, okay, sure. The imperial law turn. Why is I guess the internal net benefit is about making is about redirecting the court from being like conservative and hyper partisan. Why is it good for the court?
No,
to
it's
be-
not. It's about
Yeah.
expanding court legitimacy globally, so then the U.S. can have a global regime of rule of law to prevent existential risks. Our argument is that logic in and of itself is fundamentally unethical and must be rejected.
Okay, sure. If
This
we-
is a K of the internal net
Okay,
benefit.
sure. The politics dissent, the uniqueness evidence is from November. It's not even from about the current bill in Congress. Why does why does
No, that's wrong. This is specifically talking about how senators in Congress will not let any reforms through for funding only if
Well,
immigration
it's describing
reforms
the
are
political
put through.
climate in November. Obviously, things have changed.
No, like what?
Well, I mean, there's like new negotiations.
Like what?
Okay.
There's been nothing. It's the
okay.
same two bills they're trying to get through: Ukraine aid and funding.
Okay.
Neither have done it, and this is what they're stuck on. You have to read evidence that's hyper specific to immigration fights in Congress to prove that. And
Okay,
I
sure.
doubt you have.
Solicitor. Okay. Actually, basic income counterplan. Why is Social Security key to?
Yeah, so we've led. Okay, wait. Why do you think a basic income solves a rap?
Okay. That's not my question. It's my
Okay.
question. Why is Social Security key?
We've read like 3 cards in the one I see that talk about why progressive social welfare policies are critical to creating the feeling
Social
of the
welfare
home
policies,
and
so why
characterize
is-
immigration control.
So why is Social Security specifically key as opposed to?
That is the foundation of all American welfare.
It's the foundation of all America.
Also, it's hard to make deficits when you don't read an advocate for the
I
county.
mean, we
Yeah.
can read a new one, but
Yes, please read an advocate. And then we like, I don't think you understand why this solves.
It doesn't.
Governor, send out the card that you read on deck.
Okay. My bad. I second.
I'll start cards then. Stop her. 306.
306.
Yeah. I'm sending it out. It should be sent. Or, yeah. The order is con, politics, and then case. Is everyone good?
Yeah. One second.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. The Cabinet solves the case to circumvent congressional opposition and amends Constitution to ratify the plan as amendment as Cooper changes body changes to federal law that's Title 20. Federal commissions propose changes spoken law when ratified of state conventions treaties increasing constitutional convention by chapter federal commissions of government and certain less. So we see once theory and interpretation counterlands must use one of six mechanisms to change law and that's long 19. Other than Article 5, there are 5 other ways legislation, president, courts, parties, and custom prefer one opportunity constitution treats federal and its making predictable ground change pass policy option 2 predictability it's rooted and later change lose all need on non-legal counterlands that guidance to layer conditions 3 opportunities their interpretation leaves all the cross counterlands and attack and cherry based compound we meet the only sensible dividing line because counterlands never fail the plan preferred negation theory forces strategic thinking in-depth understanding cost benefit analysis that means distinct policy option net benefits are worth considering ag net air neg is an act by topic the first and the last speech even if prep and topic choice reject non-linear resolutional theories arbitrary and infinitely regressive but con's good teaches process education and lesson 14 Congress can change less pressures value convictions and chance on gender consensus that's a world an alternative to Washington or famous big state of the backstop of Congress losing capacity is predictable as less than 14. The idea is filling with the 200 state convention across history, convention more competent election combined its real world as CBS 17. It was going nowhere until a few years ago. 12 states adopted legislation called for convention. There's not some hypergender they're trying to over 40 states of request or amenable. Now they say it can't solve it. If we win our framing on case, this doesn't matter. But they haven't made an argument why CONCON specifically does not allow unconditional hospitality. They just said it operates through the lens of conditional hospitality, but no evidence says any reason why it's less ethical, because we still expand social security in the same way that the plan just through the states doing it. Just through the states doing it. Now the fights argument, they have not read evidence. Don't let them read new ones, but this is just a runaway evidence. We feel a limited convention that's legally binding and enforceable. That's Cooper. It's also normal means. That's Waldron 21. Expert dismiss concern about runaway research to pass convention convinced it's possible for most policies can be for convention to discuss single topics whether branching to other subject article fabricated and said their been a runaway. This is so fabricated, no merit whatsoever. Courts would enforce the mandate that's started before 18. Opponents capture the intended purpose of new constitution are highly misconfident their chance of runaway or remote lessing sees the court as a barrier. The court would never permit dialogues of Broadway. The subject matter restraints are binding. This LA 15. Convention can be limited as not a body with authority to scrap or constitution. Limited committee of state legislature impose binding subject restraints to ensure that it does not run away. Now it's spillover, yes, spillover argument, but also our argument is not about larger governance, it's about avoiding politics. Wrong net benefits shields the federal government with doing so, but that'll be later on the flow. But it can't spill over because it's all the states working uniformly. It's all the states we working uniformly, and we've read evidence about a binding law. Now they do the counterbalance stuff for federal government. That's U.S. Legal 16. The United States federal government has three branches: legislative, executive, and judiciary. Provides not assigned to federal government resigned to states. Separates it requires a federal possessor that's minimum possessor. Tony. Related as a possessor, that's a voter makes the half a moving target, robs net ground that no part of the counterbalance fields. Federal action, alternative state power that bipartisan as Congress. Now the time permutation prone to the plan upon ratification is illegitimate. And counterbalance never adds delay. All elements of immediate unconditional unfiated state argument that makes the permanent intrinsic voting issue for net ground and clash. Will you pull up the card that I forgot to read? The should is immediate, the story 17. Ordinary common meaning of should is extraordinary, so is substantial as words. 64. Real at the present time and increase as verse 67. Increase means immediately following and preferred strategy. It seems to remove the counterblend the planners 1,000 years doing every negative position to limit process have generate infinite advantages and avoid DA links. That perm to both links to politics and simultaneously stopping Congress from being distracted over the next few days. That also means the entire lead up to plan any horse trading capital expended with legislative bargaining occurs prior to the counterplan's passage. During the plan alongside an amendment magnifies the link. It makes federal action look duplicative and like unnecessary overreach. Also adding sequencing is the intrinsic and suffers immediacy, voting issue for nega and clash. Now the net benefit, the least net benefit, the counterplan avoids politics. It bypasses all presidential involvement in the legislative process, putting the blame entirely on states. Avoids the links less by redirecting partisan divide. The argument does not apply. Our point is not that the CONCON is popular, but as an alternate mechanism for changing the law without expenditure of scarce Senate floor time. The conventions were designed to avoid the focus link. That's 11 more 7. We need convention because Congress is too busy. The leadership takes the amount of time and energy, a range of issues, and competing for time and attention. Politics. Ukraine outweighs one Russian aggression. The last day further entering the conflict spillover into NATO territory. Article 5 forces is drawing two arms, racing for rogue states and allows to rush for nuclear weapons, perceiving a lack of assurance or U.S. resolve. Both cause extinction. That's the disking side. That's the twisty ones. The dumpers. No dumpers. One. Scope of the link. The no dumper. The thumper drains PC or completely breaks bipartisanship. 2. Priced in. That's our uniqueness. Evidence from today. 4 and 8 immigration fights and impeachment. FFA farm bill are not as polarizing as the plan. We have specific as to why the plan is unique. Now the uniqueness. Any 8 passes not. Biden's working in good faith, but with modern Republicans who grant a victory because of negotiating power, but it's narrow. The bulletin evidence is way too old. Doesn't mention Ukraine once. It's only about border negotiation, which is the only thing I need to win. But even if hardliners will backlash, the bill only needs majority. That's Washington Post. And moderate Republicans want victory to show Americans resolve. That's Beck 17. The Republican pled for a victory drafted by Republican chairman with European foreign policy. Republicans demanding Ukraine. Their delays costing Ukraine lives. Criticized Biden House for not having taken action to send Ukraine. Russia invaded after Biden surrendered, put it being a Putin sense American weakness. Johnson will agree. That's Brennan 17. Johnson will always said Vladimir Putin will need to be defeated. Stand with the Ukrainian people. Will also been inconsistent. The Republicans want to send a message narrative funding. We could get the additional funding. Biden will cave to public pressures on border fronts. As Brennan 17. 68% of Americans disapproved of Mr. Biden's purchase of the border. White senators and senators signal pockets and talk center negotiators alongside Homeland Security. Secretary joined by Republican, Democratic, and Independent. Is closer. Significant process of the negotiators share optimism closer than appears. That's Grubbs at 2021. Amid ruling negotiations, countries of border security deals are being ship unlocking aid for Ukraine negotiators. Feel forced to force on asylum to have the incredible stand. Your proposals of funding will be strongly part of the toughest issues. How to dissuade migrants. Senator discussed way to apply before they arrive. White House instead of Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba, and Haiti. Negotiators run into trouble when it comes to enforcement. One comprehensive threshold for border crossings, potentially lasting event. Hang over the talks. Now they say that it's now they say the The F is a one, intrinsicness is bad. It moves all DA ground through it, allowing infinite 2AC counterplans. Plan has to pass through at least restrictive means and immediately prefer negative policies as core generic insulated from easy beat econ decides and only net benefit states and education policies. It's key for debaters to engage in real-time issues through examining political intricacies, but it's also also if we win PC is real, it takes us out. But now the link debate, the plan stops passage one floor time, even if the plan popular negotiators of funding and implementation stops of crucial floor time. There's overshoots the deadline for being rushed out. As Washington Post, two both from the blue plan sudden nature. Senators lobbyists fearing Johnson's gone unhinged will drag their feet or spin the plan to further polarize Congress. Delaying passage 3, Social Security is super unpopular, polarizes Congress, perceived by both sides as a total waste of time. Whoever proposed it gets blamed for all of the programs. Failure triggering partisan backlash. As Warshawski, it's called the third real of reason. That's Chapel 2023. There's not been a vote even if committing major reforms in 19. There's not been a lack of trying among Democrats. There's a bill was going to be before the House and even half a low nation and Republican interstitials as non-united social is a marketing problem supporting 2015 poll showed that more than half of Americans not receive benefits when they're retired. That has left the door open for conservatives by being fragilized or competitiveness since the 70s. Now the PC is fake. PC is real. Negotiating power is the only way to get Republicans on board. That's Washington Post consensus agrees. That's bias 20. Number studies show Congress consider presidential vote for honeymoon increase the likelihood of existential powers of the player are likely to capitulate previous federal influence ability. That proposal make it through unpopular struggle of proposal acted on its overwhelming ideologies of 1111. The president reports as a key component of party politics are so important to the passive legislation of the theories legislative side of the party is a no appeal research answer the question of whether political repetition when it is the success of the president. No parties predicts rewards and punishment is Congress. Now the next argument is winners win. PC is fined at the standing 21. There's an approach PC is when next to be funded funding for less painful will be dismoney content. Healthcare ran after and controversial so disputed about it could be vulnerable to missteps that he's got a very slim majority. The problem is you throw a spaghetti up in the wall. Some hope some things you really going to be targeted. Empirics are neg. Obama passed healthcare, then gassed out. Wins don't spill over. No momentum. You can only lose from 21. Is that like the momentum will hustle about in the future legislative when I need that legislative wins begets a substantial win. It's asking for too much. Pastor won't be a springboard for all kinds of Vladimir legislation. Far from it. Wins will fade. That's resonant. 21. The most exalted is a more difficult you can counter the political science. 21 was despite fighting against scripted that he should translate British political after other problems in the queue. Political science to want to solve problems fade from the last argument. It's better to get some members on board like moderates. We wouldn't allow it wouldn't be the worst Republicans, but it's also worse. It's better to stop violence against Ukraine. Case. Evaluate advocacy, desirability, view consequences of specific policy determines the ethical value because that action results in either better or worse outcomes. Any method is tautological since all ethical claims are utterly justified by consequence. The also calculates a likely impact of UBI on anti-migrant sentiment, picking and choosing which risk to ignore causes such ignore violence in order to feel as we're comporting with ethical rules. The AF is not a link turn imperfect. Knowledge does not let us off the hook for trying to get best predicted likely consequences of action. Their ethical approach gives us blank check for excusing evil because we didn't intend it and we didn't intend to let it happen. Okay. Yeah, we're good.
Alright. First, I want to talk about why the CONCON counterplan avoids net benefit. So, does the plan's passage happen after the Ukraine bill is in Congress?
What do you mean?
So the counterplan, does it happen, can you explain how it doesn't link?
Yeah, the evidence says that first, it's not through the legislative. The biggest thing is that it's not through the legislative process. It talks about it puts the blame entirely on the states because they're the ones who are conducting the Constitutional Convention. It also redirects partisan fights away from Congress, which means that it would not link to the net benefit. It also, the Levinson evidence is specific to the focus link. That was the first link that was read.
That Levinson evidence is about congressional focus. This is a PCDA you've read. Why don't you think that the counterplan links?
Yeah, the counterplan does not. No, we have read link evidence. Wait, I don't understand your question. We've read links specific to Congress that are, and this says that Congress is too busy. These issues take a significant amount of time and energy. This is all specific to the congressional links that we've read.
Okay, I want to talk about the. Okay, if the plan is is the counterplan unconditionally hospitable?
Yes.
If the plan is also unconditionally hospitable and the counterplan is, why shouldn't we do both?
Why shouldn't we do both? It still links to the net benefit.
So
like the
that's
whole
a condition on our hospitality?
No, how is that a condition? What it's
so you're saying we should only be unconditionally hospitable insofar as we avoid the net benefit.
That's not, but it still does all of unconditional hospitality that you.
Okay.
Yes, you've not made that argument in the 2AC, so this does not apply. In the
okay. Yeah. I want to talk about the link evidence you've read.
Sure.
The bolt from the blue.
Mm-hmm.
Biden is already having migrant talks about the border with Republicans. what about the plan is a bolt from the blue about that?
Yeah, couple things. One, I mean, I'll reread the sentence that I read. The plan's sudden nature shocks senators and lobbyists, fearing Johnson's gone unhinged. They'll drag their feet or spin the plan further to further polarize Congress, delaying passage.
Okay, so it's about angering Republicans?
Well, no, it's the bullet from the blue part is specifically the fast nature of the shocks.
Okay, yeah. So if I'm going to give you a hypothetical. If there is a hospital in Palestine, and there's a tiny, tiny chance that there's Hamas terrorists with a nuke in one of those hospitals, should we bomb the hospital?
That's not what the argument is at all.
I'm giving you a hypothetical.
No, but I'm not going to answer the hypothetical because it's not specific to politics and what the scenario.
No, I'm
is.
asking about framing.
About what?
Framing.
Framework.
Framing.
Framing. Well, that's first if you want me to
I'm asking you to answer a question.
Okay.
Yes or no? Do we bomb the hospital?
That's not what our argument is, though. Like,
so we shouldn't prioritize magnitude in terms of probability?
no, we're making the argument that consequences are important, but we also think that consequences are rooted in
So
evidence.
how do we weigh those consequences?
How do we weigh those consequences? What do you mean?
We determine which one weighs over the others.
We'll take a second.
One more second.
Wait, actually, hold on. Yeah. No, I'm saying no. It's like no.
Sure.
Maybe we want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The order is
Hold on. You were 245.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Order is first wherever you add condo. Then Solicitor General counterplan. Then the counterplan that the deficit spending counterplan. Then the basic income / ban social security counterplan. Then case.
Right. Condo, OSG, deficit spending, you said?
Deficit spending, basic income, case.
MBI and then case.
Yes.
I'm downloading that.
I just got it.
Okay. Everyone good?
1 second.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Good now. All judges good.
Yep.
Cool. Condo is good, we get what we did. 1, neg flex, plain vagueness, tiny f's, and sandbag require multifaceted testing. Dispo kills it by letting the neg choose the block. 2, arbitrariness, non-res theory is unpredictable and regresses. 3, innovation, fallback shots, encourage new arguments, turning research. 4, info processing, hard one to seize. 4, sufficiency and vast answers. Defense, 1, utility, adequacy, peak and value, then become liabilities. 2, skew inevitability, dissents and speed. 3, reasonability. Reject the arguments, not the team. Dispo is bad, definitional consensus, none makes it untenable. 4 is perms, process, world peace planks, can't, illogical, proving the Cameron bad does not prove the plan is good. Solicitor General. Solves the whole case that as the Supreme Court call an issue will call for the views of the SG over redistribution as the OSG respond in favor of certain appropriate legal change to implement the plan. Solvency is absolute. Every action covered by the plan will be equally enforced. That's Laporte. Deficits must cause extinction. Judge kick if we lose. Often it's the logical extension of condo. The hospitality deficit. 1, no line, no evidence saying the SG being hospitable isn't key to or that Congress causes it. Threshold for solvency is quote USFG as per 1AC cross sex. 2, turn winning say yes, which they dropped means the Cameron is more hospitable since every congressperson agrees instead of just fiating the plan. Now the net benefit outweighs it was dropped on magnitude and independent. Then effective judiciary underpins leadership and soft power governance. The greenlights global corruption and breaks cooperation over climate, resource wars, disease, and regional instability. That's best. So they say no spillover. The Cameron's key. It says a unique independent role for the SG in legal decision making. Their findings will compel court action. A complex and politically contentious economic proposal, which is unprecedented. That's driven. They say the OSG is not key globally. It's key. 1, perception. Expanded role of the SG is perceived by all relevant actors sustaining confidence in judicial decision making. 2, chain of command. It prevents unchecked judicial power by rebalancing authority in favor of the executive. They drop. The U.S. gets modeled as well. Now perm do the Cameron. It severs a voting issue for net ground. It is all counterbalance uncompetitive. Then 0 is dislet links. There are multiple levels. 1, each of the plan cannot be the OSG. The U.S. achieves with 3 branches. UC bold to 22. The U.S. achieves with 3 branches. Is legislative, executive, and judicial. That means all 3 Webster's 21. That is a function before announced to reference to the group as a whole. The OSG is only part of the DOJ, which is executive. That's Laporte 2 mechanism. The plan requires binding legal force. Expand requires changing law. Hatter 90 by ordinary meaning expanded indicates a change in the law. Social Security must be protected by and established by statute. U.S. SSA 12. The term Social Security refers to programs established by statute and resolved. Words of 64 resolved is enacted to define established by defining by law. The the counterplan is not binding. A CVSG is only the views but never mandatory. That's Laporte preferred. It's key to debatability. Non-enforcement spike destroys ground by spiking disad links and soft flow expose limits into procedural tweaks or guidance. Absent a stable agent, they can zero links to politics. This adds no offense. You only need one reason. The USFG or fiating the plan is key. Now the delay perm is severance or intrinsic as per the 2NC, which is a voting issue. It also doesn't solve the Tier 13 secrets. Evidence of implications for judicial branches leaking is an everyday catastrophe. Perm other issues. One solves nothing. The F goes forward as the new interpret fiscal policy as the OSG's interpret gets sidelined, doing its legitimacy. That's contrary to vagueness. They never specified what security or immigration policy the perms are done over. That's a voting issue for class 4 educational benefits and green light shifting. That's the irreversibly skews negative strategy. 3 cannot solve. The perms do not include any part of the counterplan because they did not write them for reference below. Perm do both. It can't solve them. It cuts out stage 1 of the decision process where the court solicits and genuinely considers the views of the SG before moving ahead with cert. It must be prior and open to reversal to show lines of our expertise. That's Laporte. About functional and textual competition. They have not won a functionally or textually legitimate perm. So we are functionally and textually competitive. The critique one conservative court is worse. The SG is necessary to prevent an overwhelming conservative court from running amok. That's more violent, proven by affirmative action, abortion, and faulty environmentalism. 2 is try or die. Extinction is inevitable without it, which is good as for the 2NC and the case below. 3 inevitable. The US will inevitably try to export the rule of law. It's only a question of legitimacy and non-partisanship. 4 no impact. Extinction outweighs and makes it worse because the US will intervene in the wars that are started because of lack of judicial management. 5 no offense. It's not framed as a reason to reject the team. At best, don't vote us down. Deficit spending, can see the permutation, not going for it, reject the argument, not the team. Basic income, counterplan, same thing. Perm, reject the argument, not the team. Case. They say some calculations should be ignored outright, but instead you should apply the burden of rejoinder to every argument and debate. If our calculation is so bad and evil, it should be quick and easy to disprove. That requires debaters to learn how to efficiently and persuasively engage in arguments and prevents biases and institution placing objective analysis. We have an ethical obligation to forecast the likely consequences of our actions. Now, unconditional hospitality fails. Even Derrida, in his writing about unconditional hospitality, thinks that we should care about cost-benefit analysis, and unconditional hospitality isn't always the supreme ethic. That's colorist, extend long in stone. Even if they want unconditional hospitality is good ethic, it doesn't apply to political decisions. Political actors must accept the cold brutality of a realist order and make uncomfortable decisions. It's also absurd. Even with unconditional hospitality, there will be inevitably people who don't want to come. When this happens, there's a double bind. Either they're kept outside of the community, which causes authorization, or they come or are assimilated, which shows their otherness. Before our evidence is the only comparative evidence to unconditional hospitality is a personal ethic versus a political strategy. Now, the AF does not solve all of economic rationality. They cannot solve nuclear war and this aggression from it. They have read a bunch of academic cards that suggest that Social Security ruptures rationality, not that its expansion ends rationality in all instances. Now, extinction must outweigh one is scope. It kills 7 billion people. It is also painful and slow. Second, it's irreversible, which means it precludes the possibility for unconditional hospitality. Third is it turns their impacts because allowing everyone to die would be the worst form of when it would be super inhospitable because people would literally not be allowed to live on Earth, which is much worse than violence against migrants. The counterplan's disad logic isn't abandoning unconditional hospitality, it's loosening it in necessary circumstances. Calculus 19, Derrida has particularly cautious with regards to utopian thinking. Utopia dashes from the particular what is needed. According to Derrida's immediate decision and action, according to Derrida, the law of unconditional hospitality needs to list absolute characteristics, not having the law, which remaining abstract and ineffective forever.
Okay.
That's in the truth.
6:35.
No. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, 6:35 starting.
case. And then the con counterplan.
Alright, this is case,
Case, con, OSG, politics. Okay, does everybody have those cards?
One second. Okay. Yeah, no.
Okay, you see that good?
Yeah.
Good. Anybody not ready? Cool. Okay, let's see.
Affirm unconditional hospitality by expanding Social Security to undocumented immigrants. They have conceded the role of the judge in the block to maximize hospitality. You should prefer ethics configures the self and the other, and deconstructing that defines what is ethical in the first place. 2 and C1 was valued through consequences. No link to tautology. They've conceded that we don't think consequentialism is always bad, just that you must build truth through hospitality first. They've conceded a deed to their form of consequentialism. We can never know the impacts of social aid on the other, and the utilitarian attempt to know so denies that other their subjectivity because it places utility on the other to be calculated within the risk calculus of utilitarianism and consequentialism. That's Andrade view, giving social aid through the lens of unconditional hospitality. You can never know the impact of it on the other, so it must be given unconditionally, not the picking and choosing, kind of the blank text stuff. They link so much harder to bidders can find an asinine impact in the use to justify ignoring atrocities, like using Republicans in Congress to ignore migrants, which is happening in this round, and they will always see the risk of hospitality doubling down on itself, but accepting that risk is what makes our hospitality unconditional in the first place. They have conceded this, which is a dissent to all the counterplans, accepting the risk of extinction to forefront the deconstruction of the home instead of allowing hospitality in the condition of the right risk level that's tailored, and when dropped the DA net benefit is offense for us because its risk is crucially instrumentalization of hospitality. There's also a deficit of the counterplan because it tries to eliminate the risk of hospitality, which denies hospitality's moral power. The next step is some stuff should be ignored. We don't ignore it, we just filter it through unconditional hospitality. The lung and stone, the next argument is about don't apply it to the political decisions. It does. It should inform the decision making. It's an ethos that guides governance. That lung and stone stuff. They conceded this does not apply to migratory context, which is the app that start that when dropped and the app to solve economic rationality. This is not our argument. It's above the next few arguments are about lesser of two evils. This is a logic that we've impacted on because it's a form of blackmail that justifies putting off stuff for the sake of a greater good, which is already something that we've taken issue with above the con. Permutation to both solve the role of the judge and to maximize hospitality that was above and when conceded. So permutation should that should filter the permutation. The deficits of the counterplan and plan are both unconditionally hospitable, and we should just do both of them. Unconditional hospitality is non-linear impacts, and the ethos got her. This should make it the 2 and R pivots to the perm links. So the planned hospitality is bad, and they've proven their hospitality is disingenuous. It links back to the conceded deferral DA. There's no sequencing. We have not made a sequencing claim here. You can the deferral DA you can cross-apply it from the taxes pick. They've dropped it. It's a solvency deficit in the form of the counterplan. It was generic, so it applies here as well. The counterplan defers unconditional hospitality to another action to avoid the net benefit of placing a condition on doing hospitality in the first place. Condition fosters conditional hospitality, which expects reciprocity from the other. Shutting them out form influences content. The decision to be hospitable is inextricably tied to the hospitality itself. That's a mover. So K11, the rule of law counterplan. They condition hospitality on what the OSG says is specifically indicted the changing actors that was above on the deferral DA crossfire here. There's no spillover if the federal government does OSG wants it. Does it mean used for all governments broadly? All their internal lists are in the context of OSG being used broadly, but the counterplan only does it over undocumented immigration. That's a separate issue. Either spillover sets a strong precedent for independence to solve their internals and the permutation solves, or it's not and they can't spill over. They have no evidence for spillovers, so you should be highly skeptical of claiming our ask that just creates immediate precedent since one in our was all analytic. There's a rule of law. Okay, here the counterplan defense, rule of law is colonial defense of civilizing non-Western countries. The rule of law becomes a discursive mechanism of forcing uncivilized countries into Western norms by exaggerating its effectiveness and cementing inequality because the universalized culture forces homogeneity in the systems and in the global south and the Middle East. This is a deficit of the counterplans because it outlaws wealth redistribution to other countries, which is antithetical to hospitality. No defense applies to the question of ethical investments in this round. Their performance don't separate from material implementation in the plan. The role of the judge is similar to a framework agreement, which when conceded filters their offense means that all the 2 through 4. This is just extinction of wisdom, which got done above. Now that's restart conservative stuff. That's not the counterplan. When Dreeben explains that only the counterplan stops the origin of rule of law and its soft power around the globe as per Bressler, which is what our critique is about. You can cross-apply the permutation to both above the perm can solve no reason perception is key to overall position of the OSG broadly, especially when you're skeptical.
On case. They didn't send out the last card and the 1 in R, so the 2A gets new answers.
On case they didn't send out the last card and the 1 in R, so the 2A gets new answers. The politics DA.
Progressive holdout, Dooms passage down, that's bold and only plan gets in the support of broader deal compromise enabling package of the aid package, all the Dooms he cards in the context of getting Republicans to agree with Ukraine aid. That is not our argument. We only have to win that Senate Dems will block the bill, even if our Ev is old. They have not read anything else on this question. They've dropped the Pepsi challenge from the cross-sects. Don't let them get out of their turn with con because 2NC cross-sects is hyper-specific to how the plan places blame on the states. Is also a straight turn to OSG because Biden will receive the credit for passing SSA. Means it'll get through Congress. It's a key issue. Logan went through the Biden negotiating aid for Ukraine. There's a bipartisan consensus. The Republicans want everybody to agree to the immigration policy nation for others. The Republicans are pushing the new rules of the Asylum change of the immigrant sentence. Democrats, including the particularly unlikely backup bill, is not help immigrants. The plan is the olive branch will be 1230. The progress of the border tax security will hold the Democratic negotiation of the community transfer sort of the workers and completing a passage for aid of Ukraine. And the talks have become stagnant and they push out the Asylum system to the alarm Democrats to deliver any improvements to the border. We cannot secure our border without increasing lawful pathways for undocumented immigrants. And PC fails. They overly ambitious agenda, COVID, inflation, declining approval rating, and lack of congressional majority means he will not have an LBJ and FDR moment. The 2NC was wrong on this. That's Kilgore. That they have dropped that it's low, not that it's fake, which means that all of their evidence is the context of PC as a concept not being real, but not the fact that Biden cannot access that form of PC in the first place, which means that none of this applies.
Should I do it 246?
245.
245. Cool. Sorry. Again. The con counterplan, the politics dissent, the Solicitor General counterplan, and then case.
Could you do that again?
Yeah. The con counterplan, the politics dissent, the Solicitor General counterplan. Framing. Is everyone good to go?
Yeah.
Let me pull up my 2 o'clock. Then we'll be good. Okay. Drop that the counterplan solves the entirety of the case and is perceived as binding law that was a silent evidence that talks about how the law becomes ratified, but it also means that we follow on to the ethical obligations and hospitality, which is what the 1AR will go for. But the perm do both. Drop that it's still linked to that benefit because it redirects fights away from Congress and Congress because Congress will be the one that is blamed. They said that if we do the same thing in hospitality, it means that perm do both solves, but they do not account for the fact that partisan fights still occur. But it also link turns all their stuff because it's more hospitable because it allows Congress to focus on passing the bill, which is the worst form of violence. So they've conceded the impact on the politics dissent, which means that you should automatically default to the impact on politics being more ethical to any other offense on the case made. They say that the deferral dissent is a new cross application, which means I get new answers in the 2NR. The warrant that was extended in the 2AC was that asserting that we shouldn't extend hospitality and force another to do it is arbitrary, but they don't have a reason why the state's doing it is bad or is worse for hospitality. It's not forcing them to do it. They would do it because they don't want Congress to get blamed, and it means that Congress would have more time to focus on the ethical obligations they have to Ukraine. Politics. Politics outweighs absent Ukraine. Russia will escalate further into Eastern Europe or explode with nuclear weapons as a means to try and win the war. The U.S. will be drawn in and miscalculate with nuclear weapons, which cause extinction and forecloses the possibility for the affirmative to happen. Turns the case. Letting everyone die is the worst form of violence against the other and causes massive violence against migrants because it will flood out Ukraine. They flat drop the impact, which means that even if they're right about the role of the judge on the case and the maximizing ethical obligations, we have an ethical obligation to stop this impact from happening, and there's no defense to it, which means that everyone is going to die, which means it's more ethical on your ballot than line by line. Now, the bill passes now. This should flip the threshold for the link. Any risk of the plan's unpopular is insufficient because the bill has 51 to 49 support in Congress. Our Washington Post evidence, and it says Biden's working in good faith with moderate Republicans who will grant him a victory because of negotiating power, i.e. political capital, which the plan takes away. It's issue specific. Our back evidence is from today and says that moderate Republicans want Ukraine to win and the U.S. to fund them because a defeat would make the military look uncredible. Our Berman evidence cites Speaker Johnson, the Speaker of the House, and says that he's absolutely supporting Ukraine. Also, from literally 3 hours ago. Now they say that the progress in the border passage, the policy link turn, it's totally incoherent. The border policy that Republicans want is increasing restrictions on immigrants on the southern border, expanding ICE and deportation authorities. Biden will fold on these in the status quo, which is the only way for the bill to pass, which means that Democrats will also fold, which is all of the evidence that they've read in the 1AR. That's our Brennan evidence, which is from today. It's not offense because Republicans will inevitably push those and they will get passed. If they try to stand up and say this is unethical and racist, this would be new, which means he shouldn't grant it to them. The Logan evidence, just as immigration is an issue, this doesn't matter because the plan cannot be a link turn. Their evidence makes no sense. It's about Democrats and not Republicans. Democrats aren't key to the plan. Republicans are. He will fold on Republicans' demands now. Democrats will obviously agree to Biden. They've tried to spin this as a link turn, and all of our evidence says that Democrats already agree with the Ukraine bill. It's only about the moderates getting on board. It's also not the worst Republicans because we don't need to win that all Republicans say yes. They also drop the links. It's a bolt from the blue that shocks congressional unity and saps up floor time. Means that even if the plan is the immigration policy that makes Biden look popular and causes fights that take up too much time in Congress, means nothing else passes, and dropped all the Social Security links that even if we expand to migrant Social Security is unpopular from both sides, causes partisan fights. So obviously means that the act cannot solve any of the case. If there's backlash to it, the PC stuff does not fail. They've dropped too much issue specific uniqueness. Our 1NC evidence specifically said negotiating power from Biden is able to get moderates on board. Their evidence is bad and recycled from the water topic. Our buyers evidence says peer-reviewed political studies that says presidential authority is uniquely likely to affect other issues, and that passing unpopular things will trade off with other issues. Our legal evidence says that presidential record is the quote key component of the congressional agenda, but also cites two political scientists. SG. Concede the perm. The 1AC said the word not going for a deficit is answering answered Concon. No rule of law can extend conservative court is worse. Our Lepore evidence says that a polarization of Republican court dominated by conservatives is the alternative to SG being the advisor of the court. Two, not just rule of law broadly means not engage in conservative war hawks demands to intervene in other countries and only decreases partisanship in the court. Three, drop its try die without the rule of the law. The U.S. will try to pursue it inevitably. Framing. Extinction outweighs. You should evaluate desirability via consequences. I know they're going to try to make a push for the role of the judge, but it does not matter when they've dropped that the impact. And this is prioritizing consequences. They conceded that the consequences of specific policies determine their ethical value because the action results in better or worse consequences. Now, framing issue: the 2AC did not have evidence on the distinction between the U.S. doing unconditional hospitality and the states doing unconditional hospitality. This was flagged in the 2AC, which means the framing that is totally irrelevant. But also the method they have used is tautological, since all ethical claims are justified consequences. They've dropped that the AF calculates the likely impact of UI anti-immigrant sentiment, which
Okay.
also proves.
115, starting now. Case Concon. Everyone good?
Wait, sorry, can I get the order again?
Case Concon DA.
No, I'm good.
UC Lab lost this debate when they conceded an in-round framework argument about how to, 1, evaluate consequences, and 2, what your ethical role of a judge is. The role of the judge is to maximize hospitality. The ethics we derive from the space come prior to the consequences of the policy we discuss. Only our role of the judge is ethical. The fundamental basis of ethics is based off of the binary between the self and the other. The reason why things like racism are bad is because they elevate the self over the racialized other. Only maximizing unconditional hospitality deconstructs this binary because it places the self and the other on the same scale. Even if you don't buy this argument, they've conceded that this is the definition of ethics, which means that being hospitable is what being ethical means, which means that is a internal link turn to all of their tautology offense and all of their extinction outweighs offense, because they have no reason why extinction outweighs other than being ethical. This means that we are running a prior meta-ethical claim for evaluating the rest of this debate. You should use hospitality to evaluate the consequences of the plan in relation to the DA and the counterplan, and that means that you should maximize hospitality because that is most ethical. Even if it goes against your prior judgments of accepting an existential risk, you have to do that because it maximizes hospitality. They have conceded the Taylor evidence from the 1AC, which was explicitly extended in the 1AR and the 2AC. Accepting existential risk is good because it gives hospitality its moral power. The idea of being unconditional in the face of an existential risk is good because that is what makes hospitality unconditional in the first place. The 2R is all consequentialism is good, not why existential risks are bad, because this means that you should accept the existential risk of the DA because that maximizes hospitality and gives moral power to hospitality in the first place. You should go back and read the Taylor evidence. It's so good. It's why we broke this new AF. They have conceded that, which means that existential crises are good because they maximize hospitality. This debate is largely over because they don't have an alternative metric for evaluating
evaluating this debate. They have no reason why existential risks are bad. The 2&R got to the framing page with 30 seconds left, and they extended why consequentialism is good. We agree. We're saying that the way you evaluate those consequences must be through the lens of hospitality, and that must be through accepting the existential risk, because existential risks give hospitality its moral power. They have zero warrants for why extinction outweighs in the first place, so you should strike you cannot look me in the eyes and tell me warrants that were not in the 2&R during the RFD. They say the role of the judge is the only thing that matters because it determines how you view consequences in the first place. You must accept the consequences of the DA to maximize hospitality. They say consequences determine value, but that's wrong. We've impact turned the premise of what value is in the first place. It clearly, the ethics that we derive from the space, and ethics derive what value is, and the only way to determine what a value is in the first place is between the binary of the self and the other. They say we are tautological because all ethical claims are consequences, but they have no definition of what ethical claims are, and we're not a tautology because every ethical claim can be filtered through the binary of the self and the other. Go to content. Permutation to both maximizes hospitality. If the counterclaim is hospitable and the plan is hospitable, then doing both would solve and maximize hospitality in the first place. This means that, remember that hospitality is not simply just an impact that one off you can solve. It is an ethos that you have to maximize, which means that if the counterplan is hospitable and the plan is hospitable, then you should maximize both. They've conceded the 1AR argument about how hospitality operates on a level of form. This was extended on a deferral DA. This means that you as a judge have to maximize hospitality on a level of form and not consequences. This is not a double turn with a consequentialism offense because it's specifically about maximizing hospitality as your role of the judge and how the consequences of your maximization of hospitality outweigh politics. There is a low risk of the DA, so accepting the idea of an existential crisis is good. We don't have to win a risk of the DA, but I'm mitigating this because to ease concerns about accepting an existential risk. We don't have to win any defense here in the first place because accepting existential risk is good. They've conceded that PC is low for Biden. The Kilgore evidence from the 2AC gives a statistical claim and empirically analyzes the presidential terms of LBJ and FDR and explain how they actually have political capital because they have popularity in Congress and in the public. But Biden has none of that because of things like COVID and inflation, which ensures that his PC isn't actually used to get it. Even if they have issue-specific uniqueness, that doesn't matter because that does not assume how their links are about Biden's political capital. And we have contested that theory at a fundamental level. The Byers evidence is old. It's about Trump. And the other evidence they read is not contextual. Top level, they've conceded that maximizing hospitality is good. Accepting existential risk is key to maximizing hospitality. So you're voting AF to maximize hospitality by doing the AF and the counterplan. Counterplan, they never said judge pick, so you don't need to do it. There's no turns case on the DA.
Good.
Good.